This is one of 5 bonus episodes of the CRO Café podcast that are recorded live at the 2021 edition of the conference formerly known as Conversion Hotel, which was held on the lovely island of Texel in the Netherlands. Theme of this session is automation and building your CRO team. And my guests in the cafe are Annemarie Klaassen, Senior CRO Specialist and Analyst at Vodafone Ziggo, and Arnoud van Scherpenzeel, CXO Lead at Mijn Domein. The CRO Café podcast is made possible by Klaviyo, VWO and the Online Influence Institute. And of course, a big thanks to Tom Wesseling and the rest of the organization for having us at their conference.
I'm Annemarie Klaassen and I work at Vodafone Ziggo. There are a lot of people from Vodafone Ziggo here today.
Everyone here is working at Vodafone Ziggo? Or?
No, not here. They are on different sessions because they already hear me talking a lot, so they don't really need to hear me more. I loved listening to Simone yesterday, to be honest. So she was the keynote winner and I'm very proud. I'm a proud mama.
Your protege.
Yes, definitely. So I work in a Center of Excellence for CRO. We have 13 CRO specialists working in the teams with 1 vacancy open, so hopefully 14. As a role in a CRO Center of Excellence, I'm basically like the enabler for A/B testing so that everybody knows how to do it, how to do it, when to do it, how to inspire people, blah, blah, blah.
And I know you wanted to learn a lot more about RFM at this exact time,
yes.
But thankfully you decided.
There was one of the other keynote pitches was very interesting, and it was on the same slot. So
But thanks for being here.
Yeah, one of my colleagues is now in that session.
Yeah. Okay, so I'll talk to them, and maybe they can give you a private session.
Yeah, exactly.
Arnoud.
Yeah, Arnoud van Scherpenzeel. I'm CXO Lead of Mijn Domein, and Mijn Domein is one of the largest hosting domain registry companies here in the Netherlands. And I'm more or less responsible for the optimization of the customer experience.
Yeah, and we want to talk about centralized versus decentralized teams, or any other form that we might end up with. So how are you guys organized right now? Annemarie first.
I already spilled a bit about that. Yeah. So we have...
elaborate a bit more.
Elaborate a little bit more.
How many people do you have in your team? What kind of skill sets are in there?
So we have 13 CRO specialists who are all working for a multidisciplinary squad, and they all work for a certain part of the website. So, for instance, we have a CRO specialist for the checkout team. So in that checkout team is then a product owner, there is a developer, there's someone for visual design, for interaction design. And then actually the CRO function is combination function is also the web analyst. So it's both the analyst as the CRO specialist. And so I'm then on very large domains. So we have both Vodafone, we have Ziggo, we have Hollands Nieuwe. Some teams focus on sales, others on service KPIs, others on growing the customers, so upselling.
Are the teams completely split between Vodafone and Ziggo, or is there a mix?
Mostly split. There are a couple of domains which focus, for instance, if you have both Vodafone and Ziggo, you are a converged customer, and we also have a team that is dedicated to getting as many people converged as possible, because if you are converged, if you have both products, then we know that the churn is way lower.
It's harder to get out.
It's harder to get out, yes.
Fair enough. Yeah.
That basically, and then I work then in the Center of Excellence, and I make sure that they all have the skills and the knowledge to do it. So we give trainings, but we also make sure of getting it into the culture of the company. So give presentations to higher management to make sure that they also know what CRO is all about.
And then, are you the Center of Excellence, or
together with Farshad, my colleague, who is not here? Yeah, we're just the two of us. Yes.
Yeah. Okay, Arnoud.
Well, we're quite simpler organization. We have a marketing team, a product team, and a development team. And CXO or CRO is embedded in the marketing team. And we don't really have a structure at this moment. So that's my key job at this moment, to create a structure that's going to work for this company. We also have some other entities. We have an energy branch, NG0, and we have My Wheels. It's a car sharing company in Amsterdam. There's also a brand inside of My Domain. And in the future, we want to create a center of excellence, helping all those 3 brands doing the same thing.
Okay, and when we're talking about centralized versus decentralized, I think that the options are basically either you have a centralized team that does everything in terms of CRO and UX for the whole company, for all the brands if you have multiple brands. The other end of the spectrum is fully decentralized. You have all these different teams that have their own expertise and work on their own, for example, a specific checkout for a specific brand. And there's a combination, something in between, where you have a center of excellence.
Exactly, the hybrid version.
The hybrid version.
Yeah, the distributed version.
That tries to keep everything together. So what do you guys think? It's like always the decentralized or the hybrid model? Is that always the best solution, or are there situations where you can better pick one or the other?
I'd say it depends.
Before you answer, I want to know from the audience. So I described them those a bit. So who is on the fully centralized side? Yeah. Okay. Who's fully decentralized? Then we have a hybrid. Okay. It's a nice mix that we have. Okay.
Yeah.
So it depends.
It depends, and I think it depends based on the size of the company.
Mm-hmm.
It would not make any sense if you have a hybrid form where you have 2 specialists in a team and then 1 person as as the center of excellence. That doesn't make that much sense.
Yep.
Like we started off being as a centralized team, but then when we grew, or when it was becoming more popular to run A/B tests, like people get excited about it, you get more demand, and then you get in trouble because you cannot serve everybody anymore. So you can grow the team bigger, and that's what we did. But then you also have, and Simone talked a bit about that as well, you have product owners. And product owners are...
Zebras?
Not
No.
everybody. There are some zebras, there are some wolves, there are some hippos, but not everybody is, product owners are very, their product is their child, so they're their pages, this is my domain, and if anyone touches their baby, they will scream and they will kick and they will... So if you want to run an experiment on their pages, and they didn't know about it or were not in the loop enough, then they don't even like the result. They will not accept it. We find a lot of struggles with that, and that's what made us believe that we needed to put the CRO specialist next to the product owner to make sure that they collaborate more in that sense.
Yeah, to me. It always feels like in a role as CRO specialist that I'm the one advising the product owner, and hopefully that's advice that he can use to reach his goals. But never, the CRO specialist is never the one calling the shots, however painful that might sometimes be. But it's a product owner that should have the total overview. I can advise them something, but he should have should be the one, or she should be the one calling the shot on, but we don't have budget for that, or we're going to remove budget from that next year, so we cannot invest in that. It doesn't make sense to invest in that right now. And that's fine. Yeah. It's not up to me to make that call.
No, true. But if you have that centralized team of CRO, they have that normally that... How do you call that?
They need to have that power to.
They need to have that power
to
do something. Yeah. And there you see a lot of struggles then
Okay. Yeah.
emerging.
Or that centralized team.
But
needs
maybe
to be
that was only for our
informing-
company.
Yeah. No, but I can imagine that. I mean, maybe you don't need to have the implementation powers still. Depends a bit on, of course, how people in the company value you as a CRO team. If your bonuses depend on the number of implementations that you do, or something
Yeah.
weird
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
Okay, how's that arranged with you, Arno?
Yeah, what I said, we're a smaller company. So at this moment, if you look at our company, it's more centralized. So actually, just a one-man show running the experimentation. And what you see is that because it's a small company, it's important to show what you're doing and what you're testing and why you're testing and what the learnings are, so that nobody's surprised. Like, hey, I saw this variation. Why is this variation running? But if you're a larger company, you need to look at that hybrid model. So otherwise,
if you're the one-man show, you can go two routes, right? You can try to do your thing and then try to hire people and build a team.
Yeah.
But you can also still try to figure out, okay, how can I make others or enable others to do this?
And that's what I'm looking at as a strategy is the get, keep, grow strategy. And actually, what you want is that there's a team responsible for get and experimentation. The search advertiser, as a email marketer is experimenting. And actually, you want that experiment culture to be out throughout the company, and also to keep people who are trying to create loyalty amongst customers. You want them to experiment as well and know how to experiment. And so the grow is how we're going to get more value out of a customer. What do we need to do to create that? And they also need the tools to experiment. And eventually you want to create silos of people doing the same thing with same
you want
ideal.
to create silos.
No, silos is wrong. Create a keep, grow, and above that the hybrid model of somebody who takes control of, has an overview of what's going on and can help.
Yeah. So you need to hire Annemarie.
Yeah, maybe.
I'm already taken.
Do we already have some audience questions? If you do, just walk up to the microphone, raise your hand. No? So what I want to ask, I mean, if you're growing, and I guess that's mainly going to go to Annemarie now. If you have a big team, and maybe Arnold, you have some ideas on how to prepare for that. If a lot of people start experimenting, you need to have some automations or things in place before things get out of hand. And
Definitely.
So you started this. It was not in place when you joined the company. So what did you do? How did you make sure that things? Well, that if you have a question, how many A/B tests did we do last year, and what was the result, that you can actually find the answer?
Yeah, that was a story I was just sharing with you. When I started at Vodafone they were already did tests for a little over 2 years, I guess. And the first thing I asked, okay, can I see those tests? Yeah, I think person X has some in his mailbox. Maybe in his personal folder. There may be some emails here and there. So yeah, I could, but I needed to search. So that was not really ideal. So I was thinking, okay, we need to set up some kind of a database for this, so that when we have so many people doing experiments, and if we want people to learn from each other, then we need to make sure that it's a central database where everybody can find.
So you
the
created
results.
a central database with emails and PowerPoint presentations, right?
Well, we linked everything that we could find. But then with the new experiments, actually we started with Airtable, which is basically a mix between a database and a spreadsheet. So
Is there, according to the template that Ruben made, or?
Ruben made it of my template. No.
There comes the ape out of the sleeve.
But yeah, if you look at the template of Ruben, then it's a good template. Yeah.
Okay, so Airtable, yeah.
Yeah. So, so we started with Airtable to store everything about when the test has run, on which domain, on which page. Made a clear format for the analysis itself, and it's a PowerPoint format, and basically laid down the rules, like I want to know the test motivation, I want to know the hypothesis, what did variation A look like, what did variation B look like, what was the main result, what was the conclusion, so next actions, learnings, we need everything there. That's all in there right now. Actually, we made now a new integration because Airtable is only used by the CRO specialists, and the company itself uses a lot of Data Studio to look at dashboarding. But luckily, Airtable has an API, so all the information from Airtable is now stored in Google BigQuery, and from Google BigQuery we make now a Data Studio dashboard with the same information.
Are you writing this down?
Advanced.
Yeah. Okay.
And we have a bunch of filters there, so everybody in the company can then filter on, and I look at all the tests of 2021 on Vodafone on the product page, and then I just get a list of the experiments and can look at that. So that really helped in standardizing everything.
Yeah, and
making sure that everybody follows the same process as well.
So, but there are still different tools, right? I mean, what do you use for experimenting? That's already
Optimizely.
Exactly. So you have Optimizely. Then
we have Optimizely.
Airtable. Yeah. What do you use for
Google
Analytics?
Yeah.
Yes.
And it's all tied together and automated, or is there a lot of manual work?
Luckily in Optimizely, I don't know if anybody else uses Optimizely here. You have this. You can build your own integration. What we did is, instead of using the Google Analytics integration that is being used, where you need to put in a custom dimension where the variation goes to, we basically say the name of the test is the name of the event that is sent to Google Analytics. And the variation is also stored in the event action. We only need to put it, if you launch a test in Optimizely, the event will automatically go to Google Analytics without any, they don't need to do anything for it.
You don't need a magic wand?
No, you don't need a magic wand. Running gag, sorry. Yeah. No, exactly like that. And for Google Analytics, of course, when you start doing A/B test analysis in Google Analytics, you have to build a lot of segments. Segments can go wrong because people make mistakes. And especially if you are with a lot of CRO specialists, then everybody can decide to build that segment a little bit differently. Yeah. So we wanted to standardize that as well. So what we did is we built Google Sheet for that. But we call it Baywatch because it was Bayesian statistics. We thought it was cool. I don't know. Anyway, so they only need to fill out a sheet in Google Sheets where just put in, okay, what was my start date? What was the name of the test? These were my KPIs. And then in the background, all those segments are built up in BigQuery.
So I'm just curious. Those are a lot of tools that you need to connect. So how many developers do you have in your team that keep everything smooth and running? And
in the experimentation team?
Well, yeah. Or well, how many people? Well, how many hours do you need to keep that up and running or build in the first place?
Not that much.
No. Okay.
No.
Good.
We have one smart data scientist.
Yeah.
And he helps me out with that. So that's basically it.
Enough. Okay,
yes.
No, well, that's
yes,
good
that's
enough.
Good.
That's good to hear. Arnold, what are
jealous?
Your,
Please don't steal him.
Don't tell us his or her name.
No, I won't.
That's fine. Arnold, what are you doing to prepare for that? For that future of
what we use is Asana. And Asana works. It works good. You can report everything about your experiment in the tool. So we have different boards and different categories. So all the PDP product pages tests are categorized product pages, or the funnel testing, cart testing, everything is categorized and tagged, so everybody can search out. I want to read all the A/B tests of 2020, and you get all the A/B tests. But it's a lot of
but
it's
you
a
don't
lot of
use
typing.
Asana. Yeah, exactly. You don't use Asana to do the test. So
No, it's a lot of typing. Yeah. So we're ready to automate it yet. I mean, that's why I'm kind of jealous. But but you need an overview. So it's a lot of work, but you need it. Otherwise, nobody knows what you're doing.
Yeah, and I still sometimes feel like a policewoman. Like I'm chasing everybody to fill out Airtable in this entire in all the fields, because they get a bit lazy sometimes and only fill out just the name of the test. And
you can mark fields as mandatory, but
but I'm not
then
sure
they won't get
it
in there at all. So
No.
that's also,
But do you also have the process in Airtable? So these are the tests that are upcoming.
Yeah.
These are monitoring, and these are finished.
Yes.
And is the organization also looking in, or is it only for the CRO?
That's mostly for the CRO specialist, and for the organization we built then this data studio dashboard to make it clear to them what is in the pipeline and which tests have just completed, because they are not used to Airtable, and we have seen that if people don't know a tool, they won't log in. We had to make it as well as easy as possible to share those results as well.
Yeah.
I think the main difficulty in the organization is getting people to look at it.
Yeah.
I mean, eventually I'm the only one looking at what experiments are coming, and but getting the organization involved is tricky. It's hard.
So all this typing is just for you at the moment.
Eventually, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I was wondering what kind of thing you implemented really got things going, was a major boost to the whole experimentation program. One thing you thought of, we should have done that earlier.
Then I assume you talk about more like the culture and the process, not necessarily
the culture process, but also could also be a technical thing. If that would save a lot of time, and then you have time to do other stuff. It could be anything, but sometimes it's something maybe a bit weird if you have thought of that in the first place.
Yep.
Yeah, I think I don't think we could have speed. Yeah, probably we could have. Of course we can, but.
In hindsight.
In hindsight,
it's always easy.
We should have talked to stakeholders sooner and higher up, because it took a lot of time to get to the board of directors to really talk about experimentation and why we needed that center of excellence. Actually, my colleague Farshad, he had a big role in that. He already worked for the company for 11 or 12 years or so, so he really knew who we needed to talk to and make sure that that experimentation got a bigger role in the organization. And because of that, we could, with the reorganization, we got the center of excellence, and in one go we got 6 more. FTE, so people for CRO. So that helped a lot. And then in terms
how did you do that trick?
Then you need to talk to Farshad maybe. So
because I'm very curious also, because when we say, hey, we want to talk to the CEO or something, then say, why do I need to talk about experimentation or something? I don't get it. No.
That was before I came to Vodafone Ziggo. So I was hired because that center of excellence was coming into play. Mm-hmm. So if you want to know how that came about, I can set you up with Farshad. So
sure. Thanks.
Okay, good.
And in terms of process, we should have automated the analysis sooner, because that took a lot of time. Everybody was frustrated with Google Analytics. So if you want to build a segment...
I thought automation was easy, and you had this guy that's taking care of everything.
Yeah, but we needed to have that idea on how to do it.
Okay, yeah. And it took a long time to get that ID and the whole.
It was just you start off with what you know. So you start off with doing the analysis in Google Analytics, and then you try to use the API, and then you see that you get all sample data and that you cannot use the API. And okay. So what else is there? Oh, you are using BigQuery. I don't know anything about BigQuery. What is it? What can it do? Oh, you need to learn SQL. Oh, okay. How does that work? So yeah, it's a learning progress.
Okay. What are your what's on your wish list for next year? What do you want to improve in the process?
Actually, we are just building our strategy for the coming years, and we have defined 3 pillars that we really want to focus on. And I think one of the major ones is speed. We need to increase the speed of doing A/B tests.
Okay. Yeah.
And that's on one hand it's automating and standardizing, but it's also about getting the people of the teams more involved, and because we still have a lot of discussions about A/B tests, too many in my view, that we have like 3 rounds of discussion on which variant we should test.
You're that kind of manager. Are you discussing with me now?
No.
You have too many discussions. Please don't.
Please don't.
Please automate.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, but okay. But too many arguments then about how things should be going, or
You're always going to keep arguments, always.
Yeah, there are just too many people. When you are in a very big company, there are very many opinions.
Yeah.
And if you ask people to give their opinion, they will give you their opinion. So I'm more on the line like, just do it and ask for forgiveness instead of asking everybody for permission.
Yeah. So, but is it then everyone in the teams that you see, are they too nice?
Yes.
Or too
Yes.
not bold enough?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Some can.
Okay. So be
bit more
bolder
bold.
as a CRO specialist.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
And, you're not going to break something really bad. It's probably going to be okay.
Yeah, it's okay to fail.
Otherwise, there are a lot of jobs. The companies looking for CRO specialists. So even if you get fired,
You will get another job the next day, but I don't want them to get fired.
Arnold, what's on your list for next year? Hiring people, I assume.
Scaling up the marketing team, hiring people, scaling up experimentation, running more A/B tests, and eventually creating a center of excellence so we can experiment together, all the brands together doing the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And tool-wise, we always like to know about the tools.
We use Convert for A/B testing, Google Analytics for the data, Tableau for data as well.
Okay, yeah.
Hotjar, all the the same old names. I guess everybody uses.
Yeah, but it's hard to manage it all, right? I mean, if you all need to keep it in one place, and especially if you're a one-man show as right now, it's hard to create focus. You're only focusing on the things that kind of matter, and always you need to focus on matter. For instance, my main focus right now is optimizing the funnel, but you also have product pages, and every product or email or a website maker, a product of ours, has a product page. It has a lot of traffic, but you don't have the time and capability and scalability to also focus on those pages. Yeah, prioritization can be a very tricky thing in the
I had a question on that, how do you plan to scale your team from centralized to decentralized, like your company did? How did that go in steps or can you explain that a little?
That was also before I started, so I found it a bit difficult to really say how it actually came to play. But that was basically because we saw that the centralized team was growing, but we could not serve all the teams that wanted to do A/B testing, and because we had these struggles with niet op het woord.
But you can also experience a dip when you make that transition, right? But we saw yesterday with Bol.com. She showed first 2-3 years or something. See the centralized team making all the experiments, but then they decided, we need to decentralize things, or more the hybrid model, but you did see a dip in the number of experiments there.
So do you grow first in a centralized team, or do you then start to build it more towards decentralized teams and then grow it?
I think it would be. I think it's like natural to start with a centralized team and then decentralize afterwards. But there are probably companies that would work the other way. So
would you say it's very much trial and error in experimenting? Okay, that was my question.
But there are companies out there that do have this, maybe some on management level that do have this vision of, we need to have more experimentation, but don't start out with a centralized team, but then just have a single team, probably involved in some kind of e-commerce activities, but place a CRO specialist there and make that team like a proof of concept, and then start expanding from there. So that is, I think that I've seen it being done that way too. So that's also an option.
True, and then another team wants to do it as well, and then another team, and then another team. And
exactly. I think Denise also did it. Well, they started centralized, but they didn't decentralize it at once to everyone. They also started out with smaller teams, proof of concept, and then expanding from there. So it's not a one bang solution, I think. Yeah. Any more audience questions? No, we're done.
No, we're done.
We're out of time. Then thank you so much, Annemarie and Arnoud.
You're welcome.
And that brings us to the end of session 4. We have one session left, which is basically Tim talking and Carl sitting next to it. I'll be somewhere. See you in a bit.